1838, Governor George Gilmer signed a legislation to create Chattooga County, Georgia. Chattooga County is made up of 7 communities that include Somerville, Tryon, Lyerly, Menlo, Dirktown Valley, and Broomtown Valley, and Chattooga Valley. Each of these communities share rich histories that has molded Chattooga County into a valuable asset to the state of Georgia. Today we present to you the stories from longtime Chattooga County citizens. Please enjoy their tales from the times past.
Hello, I'm Timothy Hartline.
I'm Adam Dawson, and we're upcoming CHS freshmen.
Me and Adam had the pleasure to a thrilling interview with the brilliant and eloquent Bobby Lee Cook.
I'm Bobby Lee Cook. I live in Somerville, Georgia. I've lived here for all of my life. I'm a lawyer practicing.
What was it like growing up?
Well, I grew up, you would not know anything about it, but it was in the middle of the Depression, the Great Depression, which was a very difficult time for everybody in this country. And really, we remained in a depression in this part of the country until World War II started in 1941. But I grew up 10 miles south of here in the rural area of the county, a little farming community called Chattooga, and went to high school, grammar school and high school at Locklear. And I finished the 9th grade and then took my last 2 years. We only had 11 years in high school at that time. And I took my last 2 years at what then was Gordon Military College at Barnesville, Georgia. They had a high school and a junior college. So I had 2 years of high school there. I was fortunate to be able to get a scholarship. It was a boarding school, and it gave me the opportunities to get various subjects that were not available at Lyerly. I mean, I love Lyerly and still do, but it's just a matter of choice, hopefully improving. On December the 7th, 1941, World War II started, and I was still only 15 years of age. I graduated when I was 15 and went to Vanderbilt for 2 years, and then went in the Navy 1st of January of 1944, and served in the Navy for 2 years. After the war ended in August of 1945, I returned home and went back to college and ultimately to law school at Vanderbilt, and got out of Vanderbilt in 1949, came back here, been here ever since. But it's a great place to live. I'm here by choice. Much of my practice has not been necessarily here. I've done a lot of work here, of course, but I've tried cases in this country in 37 states across the parameters of America. I've tried cases in England and London, tried cases in Germany, tried a case in Norway, and I tried a case in South Vietnam during the war in 1968. So I've been real busy. I am at present 91 years old. I'll be 92 in February. And I still work every day.
And in the mornings, when it was real cold, my mom used to get up and parch peanuts because my daddy would grow about 5 acres a year. And he would throw them in the hay loft with the hay, and what the rats didn't get, we did. And she would parch those in the morning on the wood stove and put them in my pocket so I could put my hands down on those and keep warm on my way to school. And then we ate them at lunchtime. This was back during Hoover days, and things were rough for everybody. We didn't have anything, and when I tell you anything, because I can remember when my mother used to get up in the mornings, we'd have peas for dinner, and she'd take those peas and mash them with a fork and put a little flour and an egg in it and fry it like fritters. And my dad made syrup all over Chattooga County. Everybody knew him for that because he went all over Chattooga County making syrup. And we just had plenty of that, so we could have those fritters and a little syrup, and we had cows and what have you, and chickens, we could have milk and eggs and all of this. And so well, really, we had it better than most people did because they didn't have that. And we thought it was awful that we didn't have anything more than that to eat, but everybody else didn't have what we had. And it seemed a little strange, but things were really rough during Hoover days. My dad worked for 50 cents a day. Now, can you imagine a family of 5, where he had 5 children, working for 50? Eventually, things began to open up a little bit, and they got a little bit better. But then we had World War II that came in there, and that really opened up quite a few avenues for the people in this area because it provided more employment and what have you for the people around, and they could get a job maybe making like 25 or 30 cents an hour, which sounded better than 50 cents a day. And the first 4 months that I was in Lanier, I had to teach without books. The books were in the white teachers' rooms, and they wouldn't share them. So they were in there just sitting around the wall catching dust. The superintendent didn't do anything about it, the principal didn't do anything about it, and neither did the supervisor. So every day I would take my children for a walk, and we'd walk out around the campus and whatever and told them to observe what you see. And when we went back in the classroom, they talked about it, and whatever they said, I wrote it on the chalkboard. And by the way, I didn't have one. They took a piece of plywood and painted it and made one for me. Everybody else had one in their classroom. I didn't have a bulletin board, so I used to take carpet tacks and tack the work that I wanted to put up around the wall, on the wall. But the class that I had 27 students with IQs of 95 and below. They had allowed the other teachers to go in. I was the only black teacher in the primary department to go in and search the records and pick out the students, the best students, and give me what was left. So I had 27 students of IQs of 95 and below. But the young man that his dad told me couldn't learn to read finished high school and went to college. I went thinking that whatever is going on, that I'm going to be able to teach you this and I'm going to move you forward to, and it didn't matter where you were so much. Just pick you up where you are and take you as far as I can take you in 180 days. That was my purpose.
Good morning, sir. Glad to be here.
Glad to be here also. All right, so what inspired you to be a sheriff?
Well, my dad was sheriff prior to me becoming. He got elected sheriff in 1964, served 2.5 years and died in office. And I ran to fill his unexpired term. At that time I was 22 years old, and I served for approximately a little over 11 years. Stayed out for 4 years and came back and served another approximately 11 years. What inspired me to do it, you actually get a chance to help people. You do some good for the community. And you don't help all the people, don't misunderstand me, but occasionally you can do something to help make the community better. And you always want to leave things better than you found it, regardless of what it is.
What do you do now that you're not a sheriff?
I resigned the sheriff's office in 1991 and went to work for Governor Zell Miller as the director of Georgia Emergency Management, which oversaw the large events in Georgia. If there was more than 2 state agencies involved in any response to an event, it was under my umbrella. That included tornadoes, floods, hurricanes. I also wound up being in charge of security for the 1996 Centennial Games, which included about 28 or 29,000 state employees and about 5,000 sworn law enforcement. From everything from building the dormitories to providing security. And when I left the state in 2003, I went to work for a private company called Innovative Emergency Management, which is a contracting company that contracts with state, local, and federal governments. And we did a lot of planning for catastrophic events across the country, such as earthquakes in California, the New Madrid earthquake zone in Missouri, hurricanes in the southeastern part of the United States, medical emergencies where a virus would spread from one place to the other, how fast it would spread. So I did that for about 15 years. Now I'm pretty well retired living here back in Chattooga.
What were some of your favorite things about being sheriff?
Three things. One of them was a junior deputy program that we had at all sixth graders in the county and Trine system participated in. That's where you went in once a month and worked with the students to talk about drugs and various public safety issues. That was a very rewarding program. Part of that was a bicycle rodeo where we had a rodeo every summer for the students in the sixth grade and gave away some bicycles. The Georgia Sheriff's Youth Homes, I was on the board of directors there for 20 plus years, which is a home for children that need some, they're not going to reform school, but it's where their parents are not able to take care of them, or their parents are deceased, or a variety of reasons. We put them in the Georgia Sheriff's Youth Homes. There's 6 of those camps around the state, and send them all the way through college free to those children if they wanted to. That was very rewarding. And the other thing was a very simple thing that I enjoyed tremendously, was playing Santa Claus. I played Santa Claus every year for the city parade for probably 15 years. And plus that, I'd wind up going to the assisted living centers and some of the businesses here in town and help with some of the young folks that might not get to see Santa Claus. And, you know, and being sheriff, you got to help a few people. Try to keep them out of trouble. Okay, by the way, I'm writing a book about my career. It'll probably be in publication somewhere around Christmas or New Year's. It talks about a tremendous amount about being sheriff of Chattooga County. It talks about being 12 years as director of Georgia Emergency Management, some of the stuff that you asked me about. Then it goes into some detail about what I've been doing since I left emergency management in 2003, some of the exercises and stuff I've been involved in there. So it's kind of my purpose for doing it is to try to teach folks your age that you can get anywhere in the world from here if you work hard enough. You know, I started out in a 2-room schoolhouse in Tologa, went to Menlo, Somerville, Chattooga, and with a lot of hard work, good luck, and a lot of community support, I've been okay successful. And y'all can do the same thing.
My name is Eugene McGinnis, and I was born in Somerville in 1952. I know that seems like a long time ago for you, but my family has been in this county on my daddy's side since about the 1840s. My grandfather started working at Arrington Drug Store in 1896 when it opened, and it's right across from the courthouse. The building still stands. Then my father had a drugstore. He started his in 1920. My daddy had it, and then I had it. And then I sold it, and I worked at sea.
Can you tell me about your family's legacy?
Well, I'll start with my mother. My mother taught high school here from about 1938 to 1980. She taught what they call home economics, cooking and sewing and useful skills. I think one of her greatest joys, and I still have people today coming up to me and say, your mother was my teacher. She had a special interest in girls that didn't have everything going for them. She took an interest in the girls that didn't have anything. I know she people have told me, you know, she would buy material to help them sew a dress or something like that. She always looked out for somebody that needed a little extra help. As I say, my grandfather started working in the drugstore in 1896. My father started in 1931, and they were in business there. If you're looking at the front of the courthouse, where the registrar's office is today, to the left of the courthouse, where their drugstore was. And they were in business from 1920 to 1994, when I sold out to Big B, which turned into CBS. But my grandfather stayed in the drugstore. In fact, they had to carry him out at the age of 86. He sat at a little table up front. They had a soda fountain, where they sold Cokes and all that kind of stuff. And he sat there until he was 86 and speaking to people as they came in. Because back then, even in my lifetime, downtown Somerville was full of people. My daddy loved the drugstore business. He loved helping people. I know when I was little, people would come. Back then, they didn't stay open till 6 o'clock or so. Mm-hmm. People would come to our house at night, knock on the door, say, I need a prescription filled. My daddy would go to the drugstore. In fact, when I was real small, we had, and I know before I was born it was a lot more, but even in my lifetime, doctors sometimes would make house calls after they closed their office. And Dr. Martin made a lot of house calls, and I remember my daddy going to town, filling prescriptions, because people he'd been to their house to see them after work at night. But I guess you would say that's my family's legacy, and it's fulfilling me today. People say they knew my daddy and my granddaddy and my mother, and they had a positive influence on their lives.
This voice is the voice of a woman who really loves her neighbors. I'm Julia Hogan.
Hey, I'm Katie Dillard.
And we interviewed Miss Nona Snow.
Miss Snow said, work hard, be good, love your
I'm Nona Snow, and I live in Somerville, and I once lived at Trine for years and years in the same house, and I've seen a lot of things and done a lot of things too, because I had to. I've even picked cotton, and I didn't want to do that. But my daddy died when I was 6 years old, so I had to help my mama because I was the oldest child, and I had to help her as much as I could. And those days were slim. I mean, most of the people, they didn't have very much. And we just had to make do with whatever we had.
Miss Snow, what major event in history do you remember the most? Like, do you remember like the Great Depression or what?
Yes, it was during the Depression, and it wasn't just rough on us, our family, it was rough on everybody. And we didn't have water in the house. We had to go down a hill and get water from the spring, and that was rough because it was uphill. So Mama finally put the tubs and everything down out away from the spring, and so we wouldn't have to walk so far to get the water to wash clothes and things with. And we hung things out on the line, and if it started to rain, we had to go and get everything in and put it in a pile on the table or somewhere until it cleared up so we could put it back out again. It was rough going sometimes. But the Hardens' land joined ours, and so when they plowed and planted everything for us after Daddy died, and we chopped and hoed and gathered everything. And I told some of them, I said, you don't know what it's like to pick cotton and as hot as it could be. I had on a big old straw hat about like that. And it covered part of my head and my shoulders. But
Mama would come out sometimes and she'd help us, and she stayed in the house and done the cooking. And
What did you do for entertainment or fun whenever you had the time to do so?
well, most of the time we visited the other people and talked to them, and if we were sick, they always come and took care of us and helped us, and that's what you call a neighbor. Because a lot of people nowadays wouldn't do that. They could just let you just stew in your own soup, as Mama used to say. My Grandma Henderson, I stayed with her most of the time. She made rag dolls, and we had balls and things like that. We'd get a few little things for Christmas, and that was bought, and the rest of them was what my Grandma Henderson made. I had a good mama and a good daddy, and my daddy died, and she had to be Mama and Daddy both to us. So we had some neighbors that was just real good to us.
Hi, my name is John Michael Martin.
And I'm Carson Carter.
And we got the pleasure to interview Mr. Lanier.
Mr. Williams.
And Mr. Locklear.
We were all born and raised here. Yeah, we were all born here and up there. I was up there trying, you were trying.
Yeah, I was telling him.
And you were trying too.
Tell her what we called trying. Frogtown, Happy Top, Smoky Road, I was born and raised in Hot Town. Billy, you lived in Frogtown.
Yeah, I live in Frogtown. They'd ask me, where you live? I said, Tryon, Georgia. They say, where's Tryon, Georgia? I say, down there next to Dickeyville.
I lived about a mile out of town. I wasn't in town. I lived about a mile.
This daddy run a store,
We run a store.
His brothers, his daddy and his brothers, wasn't it?
Yeah, my daddy's brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. They started in 1914.
We used to go over there, and Hoyt was the only one that had ponies.
Yeah.
Had money.
Well, yeah, Hoyt could eat in the old YMCA with hot dogs, couldn't you, Hoyt?
Yeah.
We ate what? What we carried to school?
I don't know.
But bologna sandwich, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, Leo.
That was popular then, bologna sandwiches.
Did y'all choose to enlist, or were you drafted, or how did that?
I volunteered.
I volunteered.
I got drafted.
Okay.
Yeah. I got drafted.
I went in November 42, 19. Billy, when'd you go in?
43.
When'd you
Leo's a little older than me.
Yeah, I'm 95.
I went in 40.
He's 94.
Leo, Hoyt's a little older than me. I'm the young guy on the block.
I was in 43.
I'll be 93.
I was in November of 42, and I was flying my first mission to Frankfurt, Germany on October 4th, I believe, of 43. So I didn't have a year, but we went over a little quick. They was needing the bummers over there, and they had crews. Black Thursday was our third mission, and that was Frankfurt, Germany. The ball bearing plants, and ball bearings were probably used in all kind of military vehicles. And we lost 60 bummers that day out of about 250. And that's the second time they'd been there, and they'd lost 50 the first time they went in August. We wasn't there in August. And we got shot up pretty bad. Our navigator told us that you don't need a navigator today because of parachutes and planes going down. And that's about true. But we landed on the coast of France, England, just got back, but we'd been shot up too, and we lost that plane. He hit something when we landed at a fighter base, RAF fighter base, and we spent 2 nights there, and then they came and got us in a truck, and we went back to 303rd. That was our third mission. I'll tell you one thing, and I guess they'd agree with me too. Mr. Riggle owned the mill and all the mills in town. And he saw the school and everything, had everything they needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
He built the hospital, when they built the glove mill, they built a big hotel for the girls.
Tavern.
He built that, and he built a dairy.
Yeah.
Hobby, but Mr. Riggle was from New York. But he'd come down and he saw that everything, he saw that everything was, if we needed, he gave it to the school or whatever. And I think just growing up in a place like that with an owner that would do it as good as he was, meant a lot to all of us, didn't it?
He was interested in the town.
So what advice would you guys give 93, 95 years of life? And you've seen a lot. What advice would you, what advice would you give these young people? And what do you feel was your greatest accomplishment?
You'll have to ask Hoyt about it.
I don't know.
I do know you need to get an education. I do know
Absolutely,
that.
absolutely. You need to go as far as you can in
I'd say
education.
education would be probably
Yeah.
number one.
And you get the best job, in the Army or wherever you go.
Yeah.
You'll get the best job.
Yeah.
You'll know how to do your job.
I'd
too.
say that's the number one
I would
priority
say
would be education.
education, number one.
Right.
Yeah. And stability, you need to stay put. You don't need to be jumping around. You need to find it, keep it, and do it.